Detroit's automotive industry is heavily influenced by Japanese brands, with companies like Toyota, Honda, and Subaru playing key roles. These 7 major Japanese automakers together provide approximately 500,000 jobs and generate $170 billion in sales in the U.S. However, discussions have emerged within the White House about the possibility of imposing a 25% national security tax on these vehicles. If enacted, this tariff wouldn't just impact car prices, it could disrupt the entire supply chain from seat factories in Ohio to steel mills in Alabama. So when Washington considers this move, who stands to gain and who might face significant losses? Let's dive into the details of the potential global implications of this decision. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, and give us a thumbs up to stay up to date with our latest content. The debate surrounding a 25% tariff in the United States has shifted from being a diplomatic issue to a concrete economic concern. Tensions between Washington and Tokyo, particularly since the end of 2024, are creating ripple effects that go beyond the policy discussions. The $170 billion automotive network at risk includes thousands of interconnected supply chains stretching across various states, from Detroit's assembly lines to factories in Texas, Alabama, and Kentucky. The discussion revolves around the potential consequences if the White House were to apply a 25% tariff on Japanese vehicles under Section 232, claiming that automobile imports represent a national security threat. Investment banks, union representatives, and financial analysts are now asking what would happen if the 7 Japanese automakers, Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Subaru, Mazda, Mitsubishi, and Suzuki, decided to pull out of the U.S. or cut production drastically. The combined economic footprint of these companies in the U.S. is substantial, including $170 billion in sales, $47 billion in added value, and $1.02 trillion in related industries, creating a direct and indirect demand chain worth $1.3 trillion. When you consider the impact on U.S. jobs, the numbers are staggering. For example, Toyota alone supports over 200,000 direct and indirect jobs in the U.S., while Honda has more than 89,000 positions, Nissan over 237,000, and Subaru about 21,000. The ripple effect of a 25% tariff would go well beyond the automakers themselves, impacting industries from steel production to logistics and seat upholstery, all of which rely on the automotive manufacturing sector. In terms of production, the figures are significant. In 2023, Toyota produced 1.25 million vehicles in the U.S. at plants in Texas, Kentucky, and Mississippi. Honda followed closely with 970,000 units, while Nissan produced 770,000. Subaru and Mazda also contributed substantial figures, with Subaru's Indiana plant producing 221,000 vehicles and Mazda's Alabama facility producing 150,000 vehicles. Adding imported units, these Japanese automakers account for about 43.6% of the U.S. passenger and light commercial vehicle market. The sales of Japanese brands in the U.S. have been growing steadily. In 2023, Toyota sold 2.28 million units, Honda 1.34 million, and Nissan 783,000. These sales generate enormous revenue, $169.7 billion in 2023 alone, much of which is funneled back into the U.S. economy through taxes such as corporate income tax, payroll taxes, and state sales taxes. The total tax revenue generated by Japanese automakers in 2023 was around $31.3 billion, which could fund several years of healthcare and education budgets in states like Ohio, Alabama, and Kentucky. The critical question that arises is whether these automakers can continue to operate in the U.S. if the tariff is imposed. Japanese automakers have been investing in North American manufacturing for decades. For example, Toyota's San Antonio plant uses 65% domestic North American content in its production of the Tundra and Sequoia, while Honda's plants in Ohio and Alabama use 68% domestic content in producing models like the Civic. However, the 25% tariff would not just apply to finished vehicles, but also to parts and components imported from Japan or Mexico, making it even more costly to operate. This could push the margins of Japanese manufacturers further into the red. Toyota's North American operating margin for 2024 is projected to be 7.1%, while Honda's is 5.6%. Nissan's stands at 4.3%, and Subaru's is 8.8%. A 25% tariff could lead to significant price increases for consumers, especially in hybrid models, which are already under pressure due to high component costs. If these companies were forced to pull back, it would have severe consequences for U.S. employment. The total number of jobs linked to these Japanese automakers exceeds 500,000, with over 96,000 blue-collar jobs directly tied to the automotive manufacturing process. The impact of a sudden reduction in production could send regional unemployment rates soaring by up to 2.6 percentage points in states like Mississippi and 1.8 percentage points in Alabama. The federal government would also face significant losses in tax revenue. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that a 25% tariff could cause U.S. tax revenue to fall by up to $26 billion over the next few years. Furthermore, the ripple effects wouldn't stop there. Japanese firms are major players in the U.S. bond market, holding over $1 trillion in U.S. Treasury bonds. A significant reduction in their holdings due to tariff-related pressures could lead to higher interest rates and increased borrowing costs, putting additional strain on the U.S. economy. The impact of this decision also extends to the broader manufacturing sector. Japanese automakers have brought lean manufacturing techniques to U.S. factories, helping to improve efficiency and reduce costs. A sudden departure of these automakers could unravel decades of technical cooperation, resulting in a loss of expertise and a decline in productivity. Consumer behavior could shift dramatically as well. With a 25% tariff on hybrid vehicles, prices would increase by around $4,400, which could deter many buyers. This could lead to a rise in the used car market and a slowdown in consumer spending on new vehicles, further contributing to economic uncertainty. In conclusion, the 25% tariff proposal is not just a simple tax on imported vehicles. It could disrupt an intricate multi-trillion-dollar automotive ecosystem. The withdrawal of Japanese automakers would cause massive job losses, a dramatic reduction in tax revenue, and a reversal of decades of industrial progress in the U.S. While some believe that U.S. manufacturers would fill the gap left by Japanese brands, the reality is that it would take years to ramp up production to meet demand, resulting in price hikes and consumer dissatisfaction.
If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more updates and content. We've got plenty more coming your way.